Google Search Console hacks for B2B lead gen. Stop treating Google Search Console like an SEO dashboard. If you're only opening Google Search Console, or GSC, to check indexing or rankings, you're leaving pipeline on the table. In B2B, the best prospects raise their hand in Google long before they fill out a form, and GSC is the cleanest view you'll get of that anonymous intent. The goal isn't more traffic for traffic's sake, it's turning existing demand into meetings. The buying journey has shifted. Roughly 67% of the B2B buyer's journey is completed digitally, and about 95% of buyers prefer to engage sales only after substantial online research. That means your prospects are effectively pre-qualifying themselves on search results pages, comparing options, and forming objections before an SDR ever sends a first email. That's why GSC belongs in revenue operations, not just SEO. When SEO-sourced leads close at about 14.6%, while typical outbound leads close around 1.7%, the search intent sitting in GSC is often the highest quality data your team can work with. Our job is to route that intent into sharper offers, better pages, and outbound messaging that sounds like your buyer. Because it is. Why GSC matters for lead gen. Search is still the main highway. Even with AI tools and social platforms in the mix, search remains the workhorse for most B2B websites. Research commonly cited by revenue teams shows organic search drives roughly 53% of trackable site traffic, and organic plus paid search together account for about 68% of trackable visits, with B2B combined search traffic reported as high as 76%. If most buyers will cross your site via search at some point, sales ignoring GSC is like ignoring the top of your funnel. GSC answers the before-the-click questions that Google Analytics can't. What people searched, which pages showed up, how often you won the click, or CTR, and where demand is coming from. For a B2B sales agency, an SDR agency, or any team running sales outsourcing, those inputs translate directly into targeting and messaging. You don't need guesses about what your ICP cares about. You need their exact wording. A common mistake is treating GSC as an SEO-only tool that sales never sees. When SDRs don't know the phrases buyers use, they default to generic outreach that reads like a template, even if you're using a great cold email agency or strong cold calling services. The fix is simple. Give SDR leadership read-only access or deliver a curated export monthly. Then turn those queries into talk tracks, call openers, and personalized angles. Hack number 1. Build a non-brand intent map your SDRs can actually use. Start by exporting the last 90 days from GSC performance and filtering out branded terms, company name, product name, founders, and obvious navigational searches. What remains is your net new demand, the phrases people use when they don't know you yet, but they do know the pain. This is the dataset that tells you what the market is asking for right now. Next, cluster those non-brand queries by intent instead of by keyword volume. In practice, we'll group into problem-aware, pain and symptoms, solution-aware, approaches and categories, and vendor-aware, pricing, reviews, comparisons. For teams evaluating an outsourced sales team, you'll often see outsourced SDR team, sales development agency, and outbound sales agency queries appear alongside pain phrasing like not enough pipeline or SDR burnout, which is exactly what your outreach should mirror. Finally, label clusters with the revenue context, buying stage, likely persona, and the business outcome they're pursuing. That turns GSC into a living ICP pain map you can refresh every month without redoing your entire persona deck. It also prevents another classic mistake, chasing impressions and average position instead of leads and pipeline, because the map is built around intent that can convert. Hack number 2. Convert query clusters into outbound plays without making them SEO-ish. Once you have clusters, the revenue move is translating them into outbound assets your team will use: cold email angles, call openers, discovery questions, and objection handling. The best outbound doesn't sound like marketing copy, it sounds like the buyer's internal monologue. GSC gives you that language for free. And it's especially powerful for teams running B2B cold calling services, telemarketing, or blended email plus call sequences. A practical approach is to take the top phrases in each cluster and write outreach that frames a single outcome, a single proof point, and a simple next step. For example, if you see demand around outsourcing SDRs, cold calling agency, and pay-per-meeting lead generation, you can test messaging that clarifies what's included, list building services, calling, email, reporting, and what isn't, no random blasting. Then invite a short fit check. The key is not forcing keywords, it's using the buyer's words to lead the conversation. At SalesHive, we've found that the fastest adoption comes when you operationalize this into a shared SEO-to-SDR playbook owned by both marketing ops and sales leadership. That playbook should be updated monthly from GSC exports, not quarterly from assumptions, so reps always have fresh language that matches what prospects are searching this week. Google Search Console is the closest thing you'll get to a transcript of what your best prospects were thinking before they ever talked to sales. Hack number 3. Lift CTR on page 1 rankings to unlock hidden leads. If you already rank on page 1 for high-intent terms, low CTR is a revenue leak. Benchmark guidance often shows position 1 CTR around 25 to 35%, positions 2 to 3 around 15 to 25%, and positions 4 to 6 around 5 to 15%. When you're sitting in positions 1 to 5 with below benchmark CTR, you're not missing SEO, you're missing meetings. The workflow is straightforward. In GSC Performance, filter queries to positions 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, sort by impressions, and flag high impression queries with low CTR relative to the benchmarks. This is one of the cleanest, no new content required plays we see across B2B lead gen, because modest snippet improvements can translate into 20 to 50% more clicks on the same rankings when the query is commercial and the page converts. To make this concrete, use a quick benchmark table to decide what low CTR means for your rank. Then, rewrite titles and descriptions like an SDR would pitch value. Outcome first, specificity second, audience third. When you combine that with schema enhancements, like FAQ markup where appropriate, you're increasing your chances of richer SERP real estate without changing your core offer. Hack number 4. Tie GSC clicks to bottom-of-funnel pages and CRM outcomes. Another common mistake is optimizing for impressions and average position while your money pages quietly underperform. Your demo, pricing, consultation, and comparison pages should be treated as primary lead sources, and GSC's Pages view makes it easy to see which bottom-of-funnel URLs get visibility and clicks. The question isn't, do we rank? It's, do we convert that traffic into pipeline? Use conversion benchmarks to keep the team honest. Across large samples of B2B sites, average visitor-to-lead conversion is around 1.5%, with 3% considered good and 5% plus great, and many lead gen benchmarks cluster in the 2 to 5% range for focused pages. If a page is drawing high-intent clicks from GSC but converting at 0.5%, you don't have a traffic problem. You have a page, offer, or form friction problem. To connect GSC to revenue, start simple. Map high-intent queries to landing pages, map landing pages to form fills, and map form fills to opportunities in your CRM. When sales and marketing review this together monthly, you naturally prioritize the work that creates meetings, whether that's CRO on a pricing page, a tighter demo CTA, or a new RFP help offer aligned to high-intent searches. Hack number 5. Clean up zombie pages and use GSC dimensions for GTM decisions. Zombie content is the silent killer of B2B SEO performance. Pages that get impressions but almost no clicks, don't convert, and often cannibalize stronger pages. In GSC, these pages show up as visible but ignored, and too many of them can dilute signals about what your site is actually authoritative for. Consolidating, redirecting, or de-indexing low-value pages is often the fastest path to protecting rankings on the queries that drive pipeline. Just as important, don't ignore GSC dimensions like country, device, and search appearance. A lot of teams never look beyond queries and pages, then wonder why territories feel misaligned or why a region is quietly growing without coverage. When you review countries and devices quarterly, you can make real GTM adjustments: where to hire SDRs, where to focus list-building services, and how to time outreach based on when those buyers are most active. This is where GSC becomes an input for outbound operations, not just content. If desktop traffic dominates for high-intent pages, your call blocks and demo scheduling may outperform mobile-first assumptions. If a country is spiking, your outbound sales agency motion can test that region with localized proof and tighter ICP filters. The best cold calling companies win by aligning timing, territory, and message to how buyers actually behave, and GSC helps you do that with data instead of opinions. Hack number 6. Run a monthly SEO to SDR operating rhythm, now with near real-time data. GSC is most valuable when it's used consistently, not when someone remembers to check it after rankings drop. Marketing should do a real monthly review, but sales benefits from a lighter weekly pulse, especially when you're launching new pages, repositioning an offer, or testing new messaging. Google's newer 24-hour performance view, introduced in December 2024, makes validation much faster, since the data lag is measured in hours rather than days. In practice, we recommend a shared 45-minute monthly review between marketing ops and sales leadership. New high-intent queries, CTR anomalies, bottom-of-funnel page performance, and any notable country device shifts. Then sales shares what's working on calls, objections, win themes, and segment signals, and you decide on 1 or 2 experiments for the next month. This is how you avoid the SEO team versus SDR team silo and build a repeatable pipeline system. This rhythm also pairs well with modern resourcing. A 2025 lead gen analysis reports 47% of marketers cite SEO as a top lead channel. About 59% of companies outsource some portion of lead generation, and using SEO as a primary channel can reduce cost per lead by around 60%. When you combine GSC-driven insight with a strong sales outsourcing partner, whether you're looking to hire SDRs quickly or augment an existing team, you can turn search demand into outbound execution without reinventing your org chart.